Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting for January 14th, 2019, our first one of the new year. We're at 851 East William Street in the Community Center. So welcome. Can we get a roll call, Linda?
Trish Trinoweth.
Here.
Mike Riggs.
Present.
Mike Jones.
Present.
Mike Santos.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Well, I want to welcome Trish, a brand new board member who's just elected. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
For
Glad to be aboard.
joining us. We're looking forward to it. And we'll get to the big hall we have over on the left here that is certainly well-deserved, but upsetting for us to lose such a good teammate. So if you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask for any public comment. If there's any public comment, come on up, sir.
Joe's got something to say.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Joe McCarthy. I apologize in advance. I haven't been speaking in front of a board in many years, but I'd like to spend about 2 minutes giving you a little summary of our local community radio station. I am the general manager of KNVC 95.1 FM, and we are the first nonprofit, all-volunteer community radio station in the history of the state of Nevada, and obviously in the city of Carson City. Because we're all volunteer, we have a whole mix of different folks that are involved in the radio station, and it's been 1 year this month since we began originating programming at the station. And so we have a bunch of volunteer broadcasters who cover a lot of different areas, from music to public affairs to handle interview type programming. Just this month also, we went through a strategic plan, and we are repurposing how we go about doing our business. And we bifurcated our radio station with another nonprofit that's under the wing of our purview, Nevada Capital News. And Nevada Capital News will be a full-time online nonprofit news organization. Brian Bayouth is the director of the news organization. Many years as a broadcast journalist. He was the news director at KUNR for many years. and taught broadcast journalism at UNR for many years. And Joe Bly is now our full-time program director on the programming side. And Joe is the founder and current member of the traditional Irish band Kiana that performs in this area quite a bit and hosts the Celtic series at the Brewery Arts Center. Our volunteers have a mix of types of music programs. We do everything from hip-hop to traditional Irish music and kind of a mix of more modern sounds. So, and of course, our public affairs broadcasting on the radio side covers local activities in town that we interview various personalities in town, and we cover the environment, we cover parks and recreation activities, and we try to cover as much of the cultural events as possible. Of course, the news side will have 3 different beats. The first beat, obviously, is politics, and we'll have a full presence at the legislature this year. Secondly, our other beat will be the environment. And our third beat, which we're kind of excited about, and we're going to focus on a lot more heavily in 2019, are the arts. So I just let you know that we're for real, we're here. Tune us in at 95.1 FM, but you can also pick up our audio on demand. All of our programming we archive on our website, which is knvc.org.
All right.
And I just leave you with this. I was a 2-term board member in the late 90s and early 2000s of the Visitors Bureau, and I very much enjoyed my time there. And I know you're celebrating some great people today who put in their time as board members too. So I hearken back to having a really good time as a board member in those days. And that was the days of the, it was more of a struggle for us. And I see some friendly faces here, too, so that go back just a ways. So thanks, everybody.
Well, thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Good luck on your venture, and I guess a happy first-year anniversary.
All right, thank you.
There you go. Any other public comment? All right, come on up.
Is this on? Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Elaine Barkdahl Spencer. I'm the general manager of V&T Railway. And I wanted just to pop in tonight and say hello. We just finished a very busy season, which included a summertime steam train, our regular season, but we just finished Polar Express. So I like to say we did 74 events in 6 weeks. And that's how many trains that left the station, and they all had this great experience, and we took them to the North Pole, brought them back, and each and every ride is pretty much the same, but with a lot of different people. And again, this year it was a great success. I want to thank everyone involved in the help with the marketing. The city was great. They came out and helped us clean up the debris and the brush and brought us some barriers, and Carson City really came all out. And I plan to go to the city as well and thank them. But I did have the opportunity to meet with your new director, David, and then also with who we're going to miss very much, Joel. And I also want to just comment that our new addition to our board of directors, Mike Santos, has been out a couple of times and very active. This year's our 150th anniversary of the V&T Railway. So this is a big one. We have a marketing plan that will include lodging and restaurants in Carson City and getting people to the museum here. And so I know there's quite a few railroads that are having their sesquicentennial, but we are included in that mix, and we plan to be very involved in Carson City, and you'll see us more and more at the events. You'll see us more and more in the parades and at various activities around town, because we are part of Carson City. But I just wanted to come in and say thank you again. It's going to be a great year. Very excited. about this season. And the 18 engine will be coming back.
Very nice. I think it's glad Polar Express, such a fun thing. It was a great success and off to good things next year too with the 150th anniversary.
We're
Or
on,
this year.
ready for a big year
Yeah.
this year. That's
Great.
right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. Any other public comment? All right. Seeing no more public comment, we'll move along to the approval of the minutes. Hopefully you've had a chance to look through them. If any changes or corrections from anyone? If not, I'll get a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting as presented.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is the agenda. I would like to change the agenda order and move item 11 and 12 up to the front of today's meeting. And so if no one has any objections, we'll start with number 11. So I think we have a presentation and some recognition of a few folks that have gone above and beyond and served their community and area and with distinction and great pride. So Joel, do you want to?
Well, I have to say, back in May of 2013, you three took a risk on me and for this community, but there was also a significant amount of rebuilding that had to happen. And although I've been able to be the face of the Bureau, you guys were certainly the brains of the Bureau. And you had a vision, and you knew that we could get there. And we got there quicker than most expected. And it's been a spectacular ride. I could not have asked to finish my career in any better manner. As you know, this will be my last meeting also. My contract wraps up the end of the week. Hired a fantastic executive director to take us to another level. But we were able to recognize Jonathan when he left earlier in the year. But I wanted to make sure that Jonathan came back. Jonathan was the chair of the commission during the entire time that we rebuilt the Bureau, rebuilt the brand, and truly rebuilt the reputation not only in our community, statewide and internationally, of what Carson City was. So with that, first I want to recognize, and I'll have to stay here with the microphone, but I'll come up, but I want to recognize Jesse Doming. Oh, you bet. So
I'm better when I walk.
So with Jesse, I remember the first couple of meetings. All I did was take notes, and I wrote down every acronym you threw out, because I needed to learn the industry quickly. I understood the operational component. I certainly understood the community, but the tourism industry was new to me. I started my career back in '85 for a short stint with Travel Nevada, but you certainly brought me onto where we needed to go quickly. And I think some of my favorite stories of Jesse was during the meetings when I was going over numbers and data. I would look up and pretty much lost 4 of the board members most of the time, not Jesse. He was on the front of his seat, and he was finding any possible change or anything we could do. But spent a lot of time looking at numbers with you and going through. You've served this community well, not only in this aspect, but on the Visitors Bureau and now Culture and Tourism. Started back a little earlier than me, but 2013, you did 2.5 terms. You would still be up there today representing this community in the best interests of the industry of tourism if it were not for the fact that you sold your property in Carson City, and I think you've got a couple of new ones coming on, and I expect to see you back in a ownership capacity in Carson City sometime soon. But Jesse Domi, thank you for everything you've done, not only for me personally, but for Carson City and for the Culture and Tourism Authority. Thank you so much. You bet.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Boy, and you couldn't throw out enough for this next one, from community leadership to visionary to game changer. It was a pleasure to help champion everything that you were bringing to this community. And I mean that with everything that I've said. You were one of the main reasons that I decided I wanted to come into this position, because I knew what Carson City should be and where it could be, and you were already taking it there. And you sat on this board, you also sat on one of the most important boards to help make decisions with the Board of Supervisors. And I knew with confidence that we could take the community in a different manner. You could go down the list of everything you've accomplished for this community. But what you've done here with the culture and tourism is a game changer forever. Thank you for everything you've done for this community. It's been a pleasure to work with you and champion everything that you brought to this community.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'll just, I've only known Karen for a few months, but you were so accommodating and helpful and supportive of me, even after a rough start in the first meeting. And I couldn't think of a better person to have in that seat. Hopefully whoever replaces you, they won't replace you, but thank you for everything. All right.
And now I'm pretty confident that, Jonathan, you want to say something? You want to come up here? Yeah, this microphone's a little bit. You got it.
Good afternoon, Jonathan Bower. I work with Mike at Gold Dust West. Just wanted to first congratulate all of you on, it's kind of weird sitting down there and seeing all the new faces, but I know you guys are off to a great start, and just want to come by and wish you well. And just my only advice to you is you all were selected to these positions for the outstanding backgrounds and experience that you bring, and it's a tremendous opportunity. And I think what guided our board at the time was always trying to make what was in the best decision for Carson City, and never really about what individually was best for either us or our individual interests. So that would be my best advice. But I know that we said Joel had a chance to talk about Jesse and Karen, but I'm going to talk about them in a minute. But I wanted to mention about Joel. Joel took over at a time when we completely changed over our strategic plan. There's a lot of division between, just a lot of division between hotel, the boards, at the time the Visitors Bureau Board, and there was just a lot of unease as far as the direction. Because just like you, we were pretty much a brand new board. And so one of the first things we did was set up a strategic plan of, okay, what is the board, what is our vision going forward? And one of the things we knew we had to have was a strong executive director. And Joel came in at a time where he had to build everything from scratch, had to really put his personality, his footprint, his vision, it made our jobs a lot easier to proceed down this path, because we had to make some tough decisions, as you will. And he really guided us through some very difficult times. And I can honestly say this, without his leadership, without his hard work, his guidance, his friendship, all the things that he brought to the Visitors Bureau Board, we would not be sitting here where we were, all the advances and all the things that we did. So he has been a tremendous influence. And even though I'm not on the board anymore, I'm going to miss working with him, because he and I had a chance, as chair of the board, he had a chance to really guide me, and I'm forever thankful for your leadership, your friendship, and all the things that we went through. So Joel, without you, I know you said some nice things, but without you, we wouldn't have accomplished the things that we accomplished. So thank you. And I know Mike's probably got something for you, but as far as Karen and
I know, I'm sorry, I can't.
do you want to do your thing, or
No.
okay? I'm almost done.
I don't want to stop you.
All right, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
Slow it.
I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Joel has worn off on me over all the years. So Joel's right. I mean, there's a lot of times when he'd be talking, putting out numbers. I think he talked fast to try to confuse us or get stuff approved. But Jesse was right there, slowing him up, saying, "Okay, hold on. I've got some questions. I've got some things we need to talk about." And he was right on point. He would catch things when we were looking at the piece of paper that we would look at all the time, and he would see it immediately. And his experience, his knowledge, just really brought a very calm and stable position for the board. So Jesse, I want to thank you for that, because we needed that sort of, especially as a new chair on the board, I needed that sort of education, because I really wasn't that smart. So I actually needed him to help us get through that. And Karen, with all her experience and her composure, her calming effect, and I can especially remember being first elected as chair when she first came on the board, her experience and her guiding me, just was a tremendous benefit, some of what Mike experienced when he first came on the board. And I just will always appreciate just her level of honest conversations with me. It really helped me grow on the board and grow as a person. And I can still remember her leaning over to me saying, "Jonathan, I think we got to raise the room tax." And scared to take that on because we're raising room taxes. And she talked about the arts and culture, and I was like, raise the room tax. Oh, this is going to be a journey. And it was. It was a very specific. We had a lot of challenges that one person in particular, I won't mention names, but that gave us a really hard time about moving forward and got a lot of people riled up that didn't need to be riled up, and that was a challenge. But we were able to get it on for a very good cause, and she led that charge. That would not have happened without her leading that fight, education, and just all those meetings. So I really want to thank Karen for her guidance, and she has definitely has had her fingerprints, her personality all over this board. And with that, Mike, I think I am done. This is the last time I'll probably be here for the microphone for a while, and and I was going to go. So anyway,
Always welcome. But we're not going to let Joe get away without a little token of our appreciation. And I'll just say what Jonathan said is absolutely correct. All the hard work that you've put in and over the last 5 years, 6 years, I may be off a year, has put us where we are today and made this board's job much easier than it probably deserves to be, all because of your hard work. And I will agree with Jonathan. You took me under your wing, and I'm like Jonathan. I'm not that smart, and you were able to put things in a perspective for me to understand and get a grasp on how things work and how things are going. So, Joel, it says thank you for your leadership, vision, dedication, and commitment to the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority. And again, thank you so much for all your guidance and vision.
Thank you.
Mike, if I can just chip in real quick, I just wanted to thank Joel as well for for the record, Dave Peterson, the last 4 weeks, helping me transition and onboarding me. It's just been a wonderful experience the last 4 weeks, and I appreciate all the wisdom that he's imparted on me in these last few weeks, because, boy, they went by fast. So thank you, Joel. Thank you.
And Joel, I just want to say, you said we took a risk on you. You took the risk, and you took it full on when I suggested raising room tax for arts and culture. And you met with all the properties and got everybody on board. And that was a big deal, a very big deal. Not for the faint of heart. So I really appreciate that. And I know for this community, they're all appreciating it. So thank you so much.
Oh, okay.
No numbers today. For the record, Jesse Dami. First of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Kroll, Board of Supervisors, including Karen, for believing in me and giving me the honor to serve on the board for 2.5 terms, like Joel just said. What I learned from this position was how a team works. We were a great team. We had a single vision, that was putting heads in beds. ROI was our goal, day one. And Joel, his other members on his team, and us 5 there, we all had one single vision, is bringing Carson, because we are a little baby with Tahoe and Reno, and we are felt like we only get the overflow. No, we are destination for big tournaments. We are the capital. We get the legislature every 2 years. We have the new MAC. We have the train. We have some things that Tahoe and Reno don't, and we need to monetize that. And I have huge respect for the new board, that you will carry on that goal and bring people, and we will bring new properties into this town, new good hotels. Because I remember 15 years ago when me and my dad started on building the Holiday Inn, we only had Super 8 and Best Western. We didn't have the big three names, and now we got the Hilton, the Marriott, and the Holiday Inn. And I know there's new properties online that are ready. Staybridge is one, and there might be something on the south. So this whole area has great future, great potential, and has become a destination market, which we weren't. And thanks to Joel, he worked so hard. He did his job not as a job, but as a passion. And same thing with Karen, her maturity, her experience. I learned a lot. And Jonathan says he doesn't know much. This guy went to Stanford. I was sitting right by him where Mike Riggs is, and he was in the center. And I always looked up to him, and he always would tell me something that was new to me, and I'm like, okay, that's the reason you went there. Okay. So thank you. I won't take a lot of your time, but I appreciate the respect and recognition the board has given me, Joel has given me, and I wish you all a great year, a great future. Thank you.
If I may, Jonathan, Jesse, Karen, and Joel, you guys have laid a great foundation for us, and we have some big shoes to follow, and I thank you guys for your service and getting us started on the right foot. And I wish you guys all the success in the world. Jesse, I'm probably going to be getting some info from you and how I can contact you about the numbers thing, because they, by reason of default, I'm sure, or they gave me the treasurer's job because nobody else wanted it. So I'll probably be calling you. And Jonathan, I remember what you said at I think your first or your last meeting, where you said you told me no matter what in your decisions that you make, that it's what's best for Carson City, and I'm going to use that mantra from here on out. So thank you for that.
Yeah, now I'm worried. You guys got me all scared up here now. Nah, just kidding, no. But seriously, thank you for your service. And Joel has laid a foundation for us, and we're not going to let you down. That's for sure. And you guys as well for all you've done. Carson City is what we're about. This is what our mission is, and I know I'm dedicated to it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, break. Now, I'm sure you probably want to sit through one more meeting. Be helpful. Okay.
Yeah, run.
Please share my info with Mike Santos. Email.
Sure.
Thanks, everyone. Next, we'll take the next for presentation of the President of Reno Tahoe International Airport, and Mary Lee.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm Marilyn Mora, CEO of the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority, and with me today is Dean Schultz, who's our Chief Operating Officer. Again, congratulations, Joel, on your accomplishments, and David, I know you're going to do a fabulous job here as well. So great day to be here, and sounds like you had some great board members. So, kudos all around, because everything that you've done here in this community has really been beneficial to Reno Tahoe International Airport, and we're very, very appreciative of that. So we'll go to the first slide and just kind of talk about who we are. The Reno Tahoe Airport Authority is governed by a 9-member board of trustees, and they represent 4 from Reno, 2 from Sparks, 2 from the county, and 1 from Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority that normally is somebody representing Lake Tahoe. I think we do have the best form of governance. We are Our catchment area includes Carson, obviously, and we have a catchment area of about 1.4 million people, and so it's a large catchment area. But I think what's important about our governance model is that we can be very, very nimble in our decision-making because our governing body is only concerned about those things that happen at the airport, only concerned about the policies and activities of Reno Tahoe International Airport and our general aviation airport, which is Reno Stead Airport. So just to tell you a little bit more about who we are, we again own and operate the two airports. We now have 10 passenger airlines serving Reno Tahoe International, 3 cargo airlines, 3 runways, 23 gates, and we operate 24/7. We are financially self-sufficient. We operate on our fees collected from our airport tenants, and on the revenues, 65% of our revenues come from non-airline sources such as parking, such as when you buy food or drink at the airport. Those types of things help us really be self-sufficient. And again, we don't use any local tax dollars to operate the airport. So when you look at our operation, we're really like a small city. Because we're an airport authority, our fire and police come under the jurisdiction of the airport authority. A lot of people don't think about us creating jobs and being an economic engine for the community, but we just recently did an update to our economic impact statement, and what it showed is that we generate $3.1 billion for Washoe County, and $52 million of that goes into some of the local jurisdictions. Particularly, I think it's important, particularly in Washoe County, that money does go to the school district. But what other people don't think about, again, is that we create jobs. We have over 4,100 jobs at the airport. When you look at the people that not only work for the airport authority, that work for the airlines, for the Transportation Security Administration, the rental cars, all those different companies, we are an economic engine really with supplying jobs. In the recent years, we've been very active because I think what we heard from everybody that is within our catchment area is that we needed to have more flights. We went through a period that during the recession that we did lose flights, and so we've been really very active in getting new flights. Particularly, I think the one that stands out is that in 2015 we brought in JetBlue with service to to New York to JFK. They also serve Long Beach JetBlue and have one flight a day. They're looking at adding a second flight there. Some of the things that happened is that we had Southwest Airlines that had pulled out of Oakland and added service to Oakland. Delta has seasonal service to Atlanta, Dallas Love Field on Southwest. The list goes on, Frontier to Denver. And so we really are proud of kind of all those new destinations that I think we heard from feedback from the community that, there really was a need for additional service. I might also mention when we look at our route map here, one of the most important, I think, additions to the airport was in December of 2014 when Volaris Airlines started serving the airport. And we have 2 to 3 flights a week to Guadalajara. Many of the individuals in our communities are from the area around Guadalajara. It really provides a great flight and connection to families and friends in both ways to Mexico. So that's really, really been great. And when you look at the route map, again, Southern California and Northern California have been a focus area, but we've really been trying to, these are nonstop locations with the red, and then the one-stop destinations are the blue. So really, there's great connections, I think, also out of Reno Tahoe International. Again, this just really shows kind of our year-over-year passenger growth. We're on the right track, really in terms of adding additional service, adding additional passenger growth at the airport. Some of the things that we've been working on in recent years is on our customer surveys. We heard feedback that we had to have a better food product, more healthy foods, more diversity in the food. So one of the things we did is a year ago we opened a common use. You didn't have to belong to a specific airline. It's the Escape Lounge. It's near the McDonald's at the airport, and that is available to passengers from any airline. If you happen to be a Platinum American Express holder, you get in there free. But we have Colin Smith, who's a local caterer who provides the food in there. It's actually worked out quite well over the last year and been very popular. More recently, on December 1st of last year, we opened Vino Volo. So after you come through the TSA checkpoint and come up the escalator, Vino Volo is a wine bar. Again, they offer healthy food, and next to it is the Verdi Market, which is all Nevada products. So it's a great location, certainly also in the Verdi Market, where you can get grab-and-go food. So this has been a great addition to the airport. Subway is coming probably early this year. We expect maybe by March or so that we'll have a Subway on the C concourse. This will be giving people an option between both Subway and McDonald's. So great addition to the airport. So I want to turn it over to Dean Schultz, because one of the reasons we are here today is that we're very supportive of the Spaghetti Bowl project, but we do have concerns over the impacts on Reno Tahoe International Airport. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dean.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time today. I was thinking about this. This may not affect you as much as many of the other folks that we've been talking to lately, because folks coming from the south will still have the same experience. I would love to have direct connect ramps that feed southbound on-ramp and northbound off-ramp, but fortunately we're not going to have those. But what we are trying to do is preserve the ramps that we do have. And I don't know if you're familiar or not, but NDOT, Nevada Department of Transportation, has been for some time now working on an environmental impact statement for what they call the Spaghetti Bowl project. And you can see in this slide here, it's not just the core of the interchange, the freeway interchange. It extends both east and west, north and south, and south far enough along 395 to impact the airport. And so at the next slide, sorry, there was a little bit of an animation in there. Go one more for me. There you go. We've had the ramps that we have today since the beginning of that freeway extension through the south part of the valley. So they've been there since the freeway was extended back in early '91. So for nearly 30 years, we've had that direct connection to the freeway system. And our traffic has only grown, and our traffic's only going to grow into the future. So we think it's vital to keep those direct connect ramps, and I'll get to what the NDOT is proposing in a second. But what in essence what they're proposing is to eliminate those ramps, and we want to preserve those ramps. So we're looking at it in perspective of what it was good 30 years ago is good today and should be good 30 years from now. So, David? So Marilee touched on the number of employees. We have over 4,000 employees, but we have 4,000 customers coming and going to the airport every year. And we also have a large Air National Guard base on the site that is served by those ramps as well. Now, our forecast, we recently completed a master plan, a 20-year master plan for the airport, and in that master plan is a forecast of growth, and our forecast indicate about a 64% growth over the next 20 years. So that 4 million passengers will be 6 to 6.5 million passengers 20 years from now. I generally don't have to tell a lot of people this, a lot of people know this, but a lot of our traffic comes from the north by virtue of where things are geographically. Downtown Reno, downtown Sparks, the university, the Tahoe Industrial the Regional Industrial Center, Truckee, North Lake, all come in from I-80 and come down to the airport from the north. So we get a lot of our traffic from the north. And so that's why it's important to at least maintain those connections that we have. So if you're not familiar with what NDOT has in their environmental impact statement, this is a snapshot of in front of the airport what they're proposing as their preferred alternative. And it's a little hard to demonstrated from here, but if you look to the far right of the exhibit, you'll see two red areas on either side of the freeway. Those are the Villanova on and off ramps. They're proposing to eliminate those. Then in the middle is Plum Lane, and they're proposing to put what they call a diverging diamond intersection there. And for those that may have gone through the Moana intersection under the freeway, the crisscross, that's what they're proposing to put on Plum Lane. And then on the left side of it are our northbound on-ramp and our southbound off-ramps, and they're proposing to eliminate that. So where we have three connections to the freeway today, in proximity to the airport, Villanova, Plum, and the direct connect ramps, they're proposing to consolidate all that traffic into one intersection at Plum Lane. So we have a number of issues and concerns with that. First and foremost is the customer aspect of it. Instead of having a nice, convenient direct connect to the front door of the airport, now we're asking customers to go through two lighted intersections before they get to the airport. And the residents may understand and may appreciate that, but we're also, half of our 4 million passengers are visitors. So from a customer convenience standpoint, envision what you have today with a nice sign that says airport and you dropped right in front of the terminal versus going through two intersections, lighted intersections, to get to a major international airport. Secondarily, and perhaps even more important, is the safety and security aspects of it. Marilee had mentioned we have police and fire capabilities on property, but we rely heavily on mutual aid agreements for emergency response in a significant event. We have mutual aid agreements with Sparks and Reno Police and Fire, Washoe County Sheriffs, REMSA for ambulance service, all of which is off airport. So if we have the only access to the airport is one intersection, if for whatever reason, accidental or intentional, that access is blocked, not only does it block customers' access to the airport, but it blocks emergency response access to the airport. So we think that NDOT, and I should have maybe started with this, we fully support NDOT's Spaghetti Bowl project. Because we don't want our customers in traffic jams any more than anybody else wants to be in a traffic jam. But we think this aspect of it is not the right direction. And we have worked, we've hired traffic engineers, we've hired environmental consultants to offer resources and services, and we've devised an alternative plan that we think works better. But also recognizes and acknowledges the issues that NDOT is trying to deal with, because, quite frankly, there are too many intersections in too close proximity to themselves. We got Villanova, we got Mill Street, we got Glendale, Plum, Moana. All of those, in today's standards, are all too close together. So they're trying to solve some problems, and we appreciate that, but we don't think this is the right solution. And I think you may have to. You can go ahead and skip that slide. This I've covered most all of. Again, it's the safety and security aspects, the forecast. Not to speak poorly of NDOT, but their traffic modeling shows no growth in the traffic volumes over the next 20-year period. Our forecast shows 64% growth. RTCs show 25% growth in employment in that area. Yet when they modeled this and for the environmental purposes and for the purposes of devising the alternative, they show no growth in this area for traffic, which is a concern of ours, and we think a fallacy in the study. And then lastly on there is we would be the only airport in the top 100 airports around the country that aren't connected to the freeway if they remove these ramps. And there's a reason airports and freeways are connected, because passengers don't come to just stay at the airport. They come to get to other destinations, Carson City being a good example, but not just stay at the airport. So they need to be connected to the freeway system. So as I said, we've hired consultants to help. I apologize, this is a bit difficult to read, but it is a compromise solution that we've prepared and we've put forward. Our Board of Trustees approved this solution back in June, and we've been advocating for it ever since then with NDOT. We have not had success yet in getting this incorporated into their preferred alternative, but we are hopeful that they will still see the light and incorporate it before the environmental impact statement goes final. What you can see here is all we're asking for is the retention of the southbound off-ramp, and that is to the left side where it says realigned airport ramp. And it has to be reconstructed and has to be realigned because the columns of the existing bridge structure are literally adjacent to the existing traffic lanes, and they want to widen the freeway by a lane in each direction through that section. So those columns are in the way. So it will involve reconstructing that ramp, and there is a cost associated with that. I'll talk about it in a moment. The northbound on-ramp, if we tried to replicate that, it would create a situation where you have an on-ramp and then you have the plumb lane on-ramp in close proximity, which is problematic from their standards. And so as an alternative, what we've proposed is a roundabout at the intersection of Terminal and Plum Lane. And then there's a free right would connect passengers right onto that on-ramp. So if all things work properly, there would be no lights, no red lights to sit and wait for. You should be able to flow through that roundabout, use the free right, and get on a northbound on-ramp in nearly as much as convenient as what the direct on-ramp is today. So this concept, very preliminary cost estimates would be about a $20 million add to the project. But the project is estimated at over $2 billion, so it's less than 1% of its total project cost. And we think it's a very wise investment for the long term and the future of all of our communities, because the airport is Carson City's airport as much as it is Reno Tahoe's, and as Marilee said, the reason we're an authority is so that we're not one particular community's airport. So there's a couple of more slides here I'll share with you real quickly. This is more the technical aspects of it, but the conflict and delay points you can see are quantified here under the existing is the best of all worlds, obviously. We'd like to retain what we have, but the second column there, or row, is the preferred alternative by NDOT, and you can see the number of conflict points and delay points rise substantially. And then our compromise solution on the bottom there tries to moderate some of that back to what we have today. I'll go ahead, Dave, if you mind skipping over that one. This is sort of a next process one. So, since we've been unsuccessful in working with NDOT as a entity-to-entity, collaborating in a I'll say, public area, we've had to get very much create a outreach campaign and an awareness campaign, because they opened up the environmental impact statement for public comment back in November. Unfortunately, the comment period closes tomorrow, but so we've been very aggressively and very actively going out and talking to anybody that would listen to us and see if we could garner some support. We've created a link on our website that provides some useful information. David, if you click the next one, that link would take you to this page where we've provided some information regarding some of the concerns and issues that we've raised today. Provide some contact information if people are so inclined to send in something, an email or letter of support. And it also provides some general information that people might use in those letters of support. So we are hopeful through this process, and all the comments that we've submitted. We submitted 50 pages of technical comments regarding the much more deeper dive on the details. But through the outpour of support we've had thus far, through the technical comments, our hope is that NDOT will include us into their preferred alternative, because at this point in time, all we are asking for is to be included in the environmental impact statement. The actual design and construction will not occur in this part of the freeway system for probably 10 or 15 years. But if we're not in the environmental impact statement, we can't be considered later on when we actually look at the design and the costs and the construction aspects of it. So this is a zero fiscal impact decision at this point. We do appreciate that there might be more conversations later, but for today, all we're asking for is to be included in the conversations going forward. With that, I apologize if I went longer than I should have, and I appreciate your time.
No, thank you for showing up today. I got some knowledge that I probably didn't have. I'm surprised about anybody can think there's going to be no growth over the next 20 years, and I guess that's why we're widening the spaghetti another lane, because there's no growth. I think it's in the emergency aid vehicles, and then creating reasons if we have some growth and half the people that service the airport are visitors, why we would want to make it more difficult for them to get in and out and leave a sort of a bad taste in their mouth. I'm not sure why. So, David, maybe there's a possibility there that we could draft a letter of support.
For the record, Chairman Jones, members, in your packet, I actually have the proposed letter of support for inclusion of the southbound ramp in the federal environmental impact study for you all to take a look at. I can read it, or if you've had a chance to look at it, I think it is worth it for the board and the CTA to support this, because it does impact the visitors, as Dean and Marilee said, who do come into the airport and visit the Carson City area. So, and if you have any more questions too, I want to make sure.
I don't think I want to make it any harder to get to Carson.
Right, yeah. No, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Any questions or comments from the board? No, I did look over the letter, and I thought it was very well written and stated our position. So I'm fine with that. Anyone have anything else?
No, I'm going to keep my comment to myself, but I'm in full support.
All right. All right. Well, thank you again for taking part of your day to, enlighten us.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. We really appreciate it, and we definitely appreciate any public comment on this matter, so thank you so much.
Marilee, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Prior to NDOT taking this project on and being that it was going to impact you guys so much, did they consult with you guys? Did they bring you guys to the table and say, here, what are your concerns? Here's what we want to do, that kind of thing? Did they do that by chance?
We've been meeting with them for over a year, and I would say, our hope, we were hoping we didn't have to be so aggressive in kind of our outreach, and we really thought if we came with this compromise solution, which was only saving our southbound ramp, that would be included. We would have a definite word from them that would be included in the preferred alternate for the final environmental impact statement, and we've never gotten that assurance from them. It's always been, we are working towards that, so it's been a lot of waffle words. Dean, I'll let you comment too.
No, absolutely.
So, I think we really were working, trying to get there in a cooperative way with them. And, as we got to the public comment period, we didn't have any assurance. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, no, I have nothing more I could add to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving along to item 7, possible action to approve the adjusted CTA fiscal year 19 budget report. David?
For the record, David Peterson. Thank you, Chairman Jones. So in your board packet, you should have a document that looks like this. And I'm just going to hit some of the highlights on the document, if that's okay with the board. So this budget is as of November 2018, so approximately 42% through the year at this point. If you look at the revenue payments, those are as of the end of November for the October room tax. So that's, if you look at all the revenues, we're sitting at just under $924,000. That's kind of in that pink box there on page 2. If we can skip to page 3. Salaries and benefits are currently sitting at 29.3%. Obviously, this will change now with me coming on board in the executive director position rather than Joel as a contractor. On page 4, just a reminder on the insurance that that whole amount was paid in full for the fiscal year, that $8,852. Service and supplies, they're coming in around 34.6%. And I'm actually taking a look at some of our expenditures. We're making some adjustments kind of as I go, and I'm learning different expenses that are coming in. So we'll keep taking a look at that as well to free some dollars up when we get to our RFPs that I'll talk about a little later in the meeting. The last page, page 5, that's the page that we use for reporting to taxation, just as a reminder. So Trish, being a new board member, that's the documentation that goes through to taxation. So I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you may have. But that's just kind of a flyover of where we're at, slow right now.
I think for your first time, very well.
Thank you.
Any comments, concerns, questions from the board?
None.
None?
I just wanted to say that I'm always one of these kinds of people that are always looking to what we can save. And just the fact that you said that, it's always good. So.
Yeah, for the record, Dave Peterson, if there's any dollars that we can save on an administrative level and reinvest that into our marketing efforts or into the website development, I'm looking, turning over all the stones and the rocks out there, so, yeah.
I think you've got a lot on your plate in a short period of time, and as we moved forward, there's a lot of things going forward that I'm sure that you'll act on. So, with no comments, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the adjusted 2019 budget report as presented through November 30th, 2018.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And hearing none, motion passes. On to item 8. Possible like to approve the CTA statement of accounts, payable checks, and P-card report. We're going to try to get through this without Chris, which is always difficult. But David, give it a shot.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. For the record, David Peterson. And Chris was great in prepping me for this, so I'm going to give her full credit for what I'm about to say. So no letdown. If you all recall, we did not have a December meeting, so normally there's just the 1 month worth of accounts payable checks and P-card purchases. So this time we're going to be going through October and November, and I'll just take them in that order if that's okay. All right, so fantastic. In terms of account activity for accounts payable checks, just over $134,000, so $134,004.72. And I'm going to just hit some of the highlights in terms of expenses. Again, this is for the month of October. So we had the Boys and Girls Club of Western Nevada. That was for the 2018 Nevada Day Powwow facility, staff and flooring rent, just under $4,500. The next one, Carson City Downtown Merchants Association, and that was for the 2018 Passport to Downtown, and those were the postal costs, and that was paid for through a grant. Just as a reminder, the source on that particular one, just under $9,100. And then Epic Rides, so Carson City Off-Road, that is the first of the 2 payments that go through to the folks at Epic Rides for the Carson City Off-Road, so that's just under $29,000. And then we have Conan Company, and that is payment 1 of 2 for the audit. And I believe at the last meeting in November, those findings were presented. So this is payment 1 of 2 for $5,000. And then Department of Taxation, so this is the 3/8 of 1% that goes to the state by way of Department of Taxation, and that's actually for business activity in the month of July 2018, just over $9,900. And then we have Resource Concepts, which is for trail development and some sensitive species surveys. And as Joel talked about back in the October meeting, some of the dollars that were set aside go toward these sorts of expenditures on trail development, and that was a $5,900 invoice from Resource Concepts. And then every month we do have the folks at Sierra Nevada Media Group. Those are for the internet ads that we run through them. And even though this is where I try to get the month straight, but those were for the ads that physically ran in the month of November, but they're on the check run for October. So you see that in the notes field there with our targeted internet advertising, $5,000. And then we have the Veritiv Operating Company, which is the 2018 Passport to Downtown, and those were the paper costs, and that too was paid for with a grant. So if there are any questions before I get to the P-card purchases on accounts payable checks, I'm happy to address any questions. Okay. And then on the P-card report, there should be a single sheet. It looks like this. These were the P-card purchases, again, from 10/5 through 11/4. And the only one I'm going to highlight was just Silver State Building, and that was office desk material for Lydia and her office. And I know looks a little funky, but there's a $1,570 charge, and then there was a credit that came back, so the net cost was $615 for some of those materials. So that's the only one I was going to cover on this. If there are any questions on any of the other charges, I'm happy to answer those at this time.
No?
Okay. For the record, Dave Peterson. With that, if we could move on to the November accounts payable checks and some of the bigger checks that went out the door, again, backing into the P-card purchases for the month of October. Obviously, that's on the November check run, $5,336. We also had the November rent that was paid out, $5,034 to Carson City Square. Cohen & Company, that was the final bill in this case in November, $3,800. That was a part of the FY18 audit that was presented.
And that trues us up. We're done there, right?
Yes, that's correct. And then we had two payments to the state of Nevada, Department of Taxation for a physical month of activity collections, August and September, just under $9,300 and just under $9,200 for August and September payments. With Nevada Momentum, Kat Allison and team, photography and content writing, just over $6,500, and that was for multiple projects. As I was looking at the backup on that, from content development and ads and some of the writing as well. So that's not just 1 month; it was several different invoices, and that was the total that was paid out. And then we also have Sierra Nevada Media Group for, again, the targeted internet ads at $5,000 as well. The only two things on the P-card report for the month of November that I was going to highlight for you.
David, I have a question on that. The Sierra Nevada Media Group, it shows on here from 9/1 to 9/30, but it also shows in October. So was it two separate targeted ads, or did we not pay it in October and it pushed to November? Because you have two on there. You have November and September, and I show September on the month before.
Yeah, for the record, Dave Peterson. Yeah, Chris is actually looking into that to see if we are carrying a credit. Because there are two, I should have mentioned that, my apologies. Back on the accounts payable checks for October, we actually paid for September, we believe. So I think there was an issue with how it was charged. It was kind of, I think we were double charged. So she's working on that, and she was looking into that before she left on Friday. The good news is if we did pay twice for the month of September, we'll just have a credit, basically, to cover us for November, so we won't see anything at the next board meeting. But we are, looking into that, because she thinks that's what happened, unless it's an issue with just the descriptions, and, we need to correct the descriptions in the accounting system, but I think we paid twice somehow, so yeah.
We will have some resolution by the next meeting, of course, but next
Absolutely.
week.
Yeah, next week, the plan is to get this squared up, yeah. And Lydia, if you have anything you want to add, please, I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
That one you'll see every month. That's a recurring fee for multiple ads that we do for our digital marketing. So it's just a full payment for the entire campaigns that we run across the board and on a digital front. So if you have any questions about those specifics, I'm happy to present those at the next meeting or send you over our plan of action for the different categories that we run as well.
For the record, Dave Peterson, back to the P-card report for the month of November. We had an ad that ran in the Adventure Sport. That's the $1,600. It was a half-page ad, October-November issue. And then we also had in Tahoe Weekly a half-page ad as well. That was the $730 charge that you see. And those are a couple of the highlights. I'm happy to address any of the other smaller charges if there are any questions about those.
So David, the two Reach Local, those are two different campaigns, they're correct? There's geofence marketing, and then there's geofence marketing for trains. So am I just understanding that right?
Yes. So they charge per different category. Just recently, we actually scaled back that campaign and changed it to YouTube advertising. So you'll see the categories change probably within the next couple meetings. So we have a video ad that's actually going to be an advertisement on YouTube. So before I got here, we were running with two digital companies, but different campaigns targeting different states. And so Reach Local was one of the other ones in addition to Sierra Nevada Media. So Reach Local will be strictly just for video because Sierra Nevada does not provide that option for us.
Oh, okay.
So you'll see that diversity within the next couple meetings. I don't think that's going to come into our next one, but probably in March. You'll see those changes.
And Member Riggs, for the record, Dave Peterson, I just confirmed with Joel, we don't control sort of how it is set up like that. So if we started a new campaign, you'd see another line item on the P card that would show if we were doing museums or something like that. So it just happens to be the way that it comes through on the P card with Bank of America.
Anything else, David?
For the record, Dave Peterson, that's it for me on October and November accounts payable checks and P cards.
Any other questions from the board or concerns? Well, can we get a motion?
I move to approve the CTA account activity statement of accounts payable checks and P-card charges for October and November 2018.
Second?
I'll second. With the note that you're going to look into that extra five.
Right.
Okay.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving on to item 9, to approve payment of $20,000 to Arthur's Enterprises Incorporated, All World Sports. Joel?
You bet. For the record, Joel Dunn, NV Consulting. We had an opportunity, a conversation with David and I and Chris, talking about what we have done with, this is All World Sports, A through Z Enterprises. And over the course of the last, I believe, 4 years, rather than us marketing the 20-plus events that All World Sports were bringing into our community, through the last, I think I've been working with them 21 years now. They've been in Carson City. They certainly know their target market. They have a solid outreach through their social media and marketing platforms. And they had proposed that rather than us marketing ourselves with those tournaments, that we invest in their marketing efforts. We chose to do that 4 years ago. Coming in now with a new board and a new executive director, new staff, David felt it was imperative to bring it for full transparency in front of the board for that payment of $20,000 moving in for calendar year 2019. In conversation, I also know that, both Lydia and David will work with All World Sports, look at what the marketing outreach is, look at the ROI for that $20,000, and decide, going into probably the next fiscal year, July, whether we want to continue to invest or just work collaboratively on the marketing efforts. But once again, for transparency, we're looking today to approve the $20,000 payment for the 2019 All World Marketing and Aggressive Awards campaign. And if there's any questions, I can answer.
No, I'm familiar. We've done, you said, for the last 4 years, this has been how we've helped fund them and the marketing efforts. I do like that, David, you're going to look into the ROI, and we do our homework at the end of this year and see if it's the best place to put our money. But they do bring in, this is Midnight Madness, which is a large group for the city. I just want to make sure we're keeping an eye on it. It sounds like we are.
When you look at the campaign, we identified 2, 3, sometimes 4 different tournaments that we wanted them to focus on with their marketing efforts. One of those, as you mentioned, was Midnight Madness. Midnight Madness going into 2013-14 was still at that 70 to 80 teams. We knew we had the opportunity and the fields to be able to provide upwards of 100 to 120 teams. We focused the first 2 years of the campaign on the Midnight Madness and 2 of the World Series tournaments. All of those saw a significant increase. The Midnight Madness typically brings in 100 to 120 teams, of which only a handful, sometimes only 4 to 5 teams are from Nevada. So certainly has proved to be beneficial. But moving forward, I know their efforts, they're still very involved in Northern Nevada throughout. I think All World Sports is one of the largest sports tournament organizations on the West Coast now. So it's a wise investment, and I certainly support your effort in it.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Joel, have they ever come before the board when they first started, or, just to talk about their marketing and how they go about it?
Yeah, they have been both Ed Feldman, the National Baseball Director, and Jay Zetz, the CEO owner of All World Sports. We've had them here a few times, but I would certainly recommend that David and Lydia work with them and bring them back in front of the board so that you have a chance to meet the faces behind the All World Sports. I mean, they've been incredibly impactful to the economy of Carson City over the course of the 20 years we've been working with them. I know in a 2014 survey, it represented roughly 9 to 10% of the visitation that we were tracking at the time. So certainly impactful, and yeah, I know they'd love to be here and bring their entire team. Yeah.
No, I think that would be important to see their vision and where they see it going in the next few years. So maybe we can set that up, by July or when it's appropriate, I guess.
Chairman, if I may, for the record, Dave Peterson, maybe also we could ask them to provide us with some feedback on the calendar year 18 events at that time, just to have an understanding of everything that our dollars went toward marketing-wise, or just to help assist with those events too. So I think maybe sooner than July might be to our advantage, just to kind of get an idea of what those dollars look like in terms of use for the 2018 events. So I'll work with Ed, who I've had a couple great conversations with, but work with Ed to see if we can get him on one of our agendas.
Great. Any other questions? If there's no other questions, get a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the CTA payment of $20,000 to A through Z Enterprises, Inc. for the 2019-2020 Cooperative Marketing Campaign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Let's move on to item 10, to approve the payment of $16,802 to Carson City Muscle Powered for the CTA's partnership in the Artistic Bike Rack project. Joel, you want to give us a little...
You bet. Again, for the record, Joel Dunn, NV Consulting. So what we're looking at today is, once again, just for complete transparency, of the $16,802 that we would be paying Muscle Powered, the Carson City's nonprofit trail and bicycle advocacy group, $15,000 of that has already been approved. So 15,000 of it has been working with the project over the course of the last year and a half. This is about a 2-year project. We had some savings last year with another project that we were going to move forward with, $10,000. The board at the time had agreed that we would set that aside, knowing that there was going to be a portion of that that may have to go to this project. We're looking at an additional $1,602, I believe, over and above, or $802 over the 15,000 already approved. But once again, with a new board and new executive director, for transparency, we wanted to bring it in front of you today. The bike racks will be installed by Public Works. They've been working with Carson City, muscle powered. Great partnership, and look forward to seeing these in the community.
So we're really just catching up and paying for work that's already been performed. And it went a little over budget, but it sounds like we had money set aside, and that, you said 10,000?
Yeah, we'd set aside 10,000 from another project. We're going to spend, once again, end up spending 1,800 of that 10,000, so you've got some additional money now that you can allocate. And listening to David earlier, it seems like every dollar he saves is going to be focused on marketing, and I think that's a wise choice.
Yeah, and we have the rest of that money to focus on another project or marketing. No, I'm good with that. Any questions, concerns about it?
Joel, these racks are in now, these bike racks?
Yeah, they've been ordered, and they're being manufactured up in Oregon, and they'll be shipped here quickly. So this is a reimbursement payment to Muscle Powered.
When are they looking at installing them? Probably when the weather gets better, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Public Works would prefer to have a little bit of decent weather on it, but they're going to utilize the, replacing a few of the bollard style that are downtown now. My understanding is Muscle Powered, working with Public Works, identified a couple of locations on Curry Street that'll also be impactful for visitors and residents alike. So, yeah, they'll be in for the summer.
How many racks did you know?
Yeah, I believe that there's 11, but if you look at the total quantity here, it looks like there might be a total of, give me 1 second here. Yeah, 20 bike racks have been ordered. And I think 11 of those are going within the downtown corridor, is my understanding.
Any other questions on this item?
No.
All right, if I can get a motion to approve the payment?
I move to approve CTA's payment of $16,802 to Carson City's Muscle Powered for the CTA's partnership in the Carson City Bike Rack project.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And now we'll move on down to the monthly non-action items for presentation and discussion only. Executive Director update. David, your first Executive Director update?
This is exciting.
All right.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. For the record, David Peterson. There are 5 things I want to touch on in this first report. The first couple deal with RFPs that the CTA will be pushing out the door here over the next several weeks. So the first RFP that we will be releasing is for creative content development and just help where we need it with public relations and external communications. The plan is to release that next Tuesday, with the goal to bring that awarded vendor and the contract back in front of the board, you all, in March, just with the timing of leaving it out there. We do have to follow the normal procurement process that the city operates under. So we'll have a question and answer period, and then evaluate those technical and cost proposals, and if we need to actually look at the top 2 or the top 3, we can have them come back and do oral presentations in front of the evaluation committee. So I'm excited. I've already heard from several different folks who are interested in this RFP, and hopefully we'll have a nice group of bids from which we can evaluate and come up with a great vendor on that front. So the second RFP will be for web development, and the plan is to release that early to mid-February. I need a little bit more time to work with Lydia on this in terms of getting the scope of work just the way that we want it. I do believe that even with the February release, just looking at the calendar and dates again, letting that sit out there and allowing folks enough time to get questions and us to get the answers back, and then for them to put their final bids together, that we can come back in front of you all in April, at the April board meeting. So I think it's looking pretty good. The other thing that we have, as well as an opportunity to respond to an RFP that was released about a week and a half ago by Travel Nevada and the Division of Tourism to host the 2020 Rural Roundup Conference. So that conference rotates to the different territories in the state of Nevada, and it just happens to be that in 2020 it comes back to the Reno Tahoe territory. So it went out to the 5 main CVB, CVA, CTAs, of which we happen to be one of those folks, and I am working right now on pulling together a response for that. That response is due back to the Division of Tourism on the 4th of February, and then on or after the 8th, they'll be doing their process review and walkthrough of the different proposals that were submitted. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we may have this great conference here in 2020. And it right now, the dates that are in the RFP are April 8, 9, and 10, April 2020. So I'm excited about the prospect, I think, of showcasing maybe the new Cultural and Event Center out there at the Stewart facility, and really pulling together some great pre-conference activities, and obviously working with hotel partners to see if we can get some room blocks available in April. So excited about that. The fourth thing that I wanted to bring to the board's attention is the Tourism Day at the Nevada Legislature, which will be on 2/13 from 7:30 to 10:30. And I think it's a great opportunity. I know it's during the day and everybody has their jobs during the day, but if you're able to go over there and participate and experience the day. I know that the Division of Tourism is bringing in some fantastic speakers, so I think it's an excellent opportunity for all of us to engage with legislators and their staff to again just reiterate the importance that tourism plays in Nevada and in each of our communities. And so as far as RSVPing for that, the email address is piointern@travelnevada.com. So if you're interested in attending, they would like to have their RSVPs in by February 6th. And that's just because of the room right at the legislative complex and just the logistics of packing people in the back of the building there. So again, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for all of us to just show our support of tourism here in Nevada. And again, that's from 7:30 to 10:30. And they're going to have breakfast, which always brings me out. A free meal, I love it. So again, that is the Tourism Day at the Legislature. And if you are interested in more information, you can go to tourismmeansmore.com on that. But again, on the RSVP, it's piointern@travelnevada.com. And the final thing that I'm excited about, and this was coming together, obviously, I know Lydia was working with Kat and the Nevada Momentum folks, but we have the new, Arts and Culture Visitors Guide. So it's going to print today, in hopes of getting this out to the consumers by the 30th of January if all goes well. So I'm super excited about this arts and culture issue of the Carson City Visitors Guide. So with that, I'll entertain any questions that anybody might have, but that's my report for today's meeting.
Questions? No? Strategic plan or grant update?
Once again, for the record, Joel Dunn, NV Consulting, and for the sake of saving time, both David and I had elected that from this point on, and it looks like our time frame was about spot on. We have a transition with the Cultural Commission meeting coming in, and we certainly didn't want to push Mark and the group late into the evening, so we are going to forego a full update on B, C, and D. Quick notes on them as far as the grant update next month. Both David and Lydia will be coming to you with the fact that we did actually get every one of our grants through the Nevada Commission on Tourism Marketing. So usually I throw in one sacrificial lamb grant, and they didn't see any of those as not worthy of partnering with us and investing some of that room tax that we give them back into our community. So one of those with the RFQ that's going out for the website design, that is a grant-funded project. So there's some really good grants, and I look forward to watching both David and Lydia make those successful. The strategic plan, so a little background on it. I just want to make sure that you as a new board understand that we were working on a strategic plan starting early last year. As we transitioned into you as a new board, the position of the past board was to go ahead and table the strategic plan where we were at. What I felt was one of the most important portions of that we had already accomplished, and that was reaching out to our stakeholders. So we did a community stakeholder SWOT analysis, and want to thank once again Maya McKinsey and Peggy with the Adams Hub at the time. They did a fantastic job. We had stakeholders from throughout the entire community that went through that full SWOT analysis. And I know that David will work with his staff and you as a board moving forward, but he needed to have the opportunity to put his signature on that strategic plan moving forward. And, I believe you'll probably look at a strategic plan coming back to you to be hopefully approved and move forward for the new fiscal year. Whether that's in July or you as a board decide to do it as a calendar year and look at the 2020. But once again, I look forward to watching you and David work with what our community stakeholders said were important, both strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that our community presents visitors. And so a little background on that. And the last on the transient occupancy report, quickly looking at the numbers, pretty consistent. We've seen the impact of what 2017 meant to 2018 numbers. The 2017 with all of the FEMA, we were looking at the final transition of those FEMA employees in our November, December. So you're still going to see some data that David will have to go through and measure what that impact of having such a significant amount of increase in 2017. But for me, it looked like we were still pretty consistent at that 4 to 6% increase if it were not for the FEMA in the 2017. So pretty consistent with the region. And with that, for my last time, I will turn it over to you, the board.
Well, I guess we're on to 14 board comments or announcements, and I'll just one comment, and I'll beat the dead horse. Joel, it's been a pleasure. You're going to be sorely missed, and you're not going away, and I'm sure we'll still see you around. But I can't thank you enough for all the effort, the hard work, and guidance, as I said earlier. Any other?
Ditto. Joel, I hope to see you on the road, buddy.
Absolutely. My RV's pointed south in the backyard as we speak.
At this time, I'll ask for any more public comment. See no, then I'll move for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.